Thank you for joining us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of a late game if you are East Coast, like some of our competitors or casters this evening, as it is around 10 o'clock on the East Coast, 7 p.m. for that West Coast. We got a special match coming at you for tonight. It is KSU, Kennesaw State University, out of Kennesaw, Georgia, coming up against Drexel University for a little bit of JV law action.
Yeah,
My name is Kyle. Sorry about that. My name is Kyle Corvus Crow. Jumping in is Steven Return Johnson here to tell us a little bit about the way that these games are going to unfold out, perhaps.
Well, yes, and also a little bit on the format as well. So for those of you who have been keeping up to date with all of our C-Lowell varsity action, this is going to be a little bit different. It's still that best of 3 format, but the way this tournament works is a bit different. Each of these teams is in about an 8-team conference. This one right now is coming to us from conference number 35 out of 36. Top 3 teams in every group after going through one full round-robin stage will move on to our playoffs. And do remind you, the top 4 teams from our JV League will not only be claiming their own parts of our $10K prize pool this year, but will also be flown out with an all-expenses-paid trip to our live finals, and we are getting hyped for that.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a really big spectacle to see. And so, for a lot of these teams and players, flying out, being flown out for an esports tournament is huge. A lot of these tournaments, organizations, specifically with Kennesaw State here, I know from personal experience, is a very big grassroots organization, all run by the students, just trying to put things together here. So definitely a dream come true for everyone involved, if they can get there. Now, there are some hard paths to victory here. A little bit of mix matching, I believe, is taking a look at the schedule of teams that they've played, who's beaten who. It's a little bit of swapping around here. Drexel has some victories. Arizona, McMaster, and UGA, that's University of Georgia. Their single loss is to Florida State. Now, Kennesaw State has come in, beat Florida State, but then lost to McMaster, who Drexel was able to topple. So this one of those games that you feel like could go either way, anyway, but neither team wants to be the one to drop another game here. They've already both lost one, so it is important for keeping their playoff dreams alive. A little bit more so leaning in that Drexel side of the bracket. Definitely need to come out with a win here today.
Exactly, and when you just look at these teams' records overall, we do have the 3-1 record for Drexel, the 4-1 for Kennesaw, just based on some quirks of how our leagues have actually played out so far. We do have a catch-up week coming at the end of the season, which we will also be broadcasting to you. But yeah, one more loss here, especially for Drexel, puts them in that very awkward 3-2 spot, and they've already lost some of those head-to-head tiebreakers. So a win here would go a long way. And also another weird quirk, if Drexel wins this, they're actually completely in control. The other 2 4-1 teams, they have the record advantage over. So big win, big potential coming out here. And I don't think either of these 2 are varsity organizations, but the best way to get your admin on board, walk home and come back with that big old trophy, a lot of publicity, and maybe they'll just start listening just that little bit more.
I know that's actually a personal crusade going on for the Owls of Kennesaw State University. There's only 1, maybe 2 universities in the whole state of Georgia that have varsity programs for their schools. I believe Georgia Southern, the one to pioneer that. So really excited to see, if they can make something come through for their organization and start paving a little bit of the way in Southeastern competition there. So all in all, we will see how this one boils down, because there's only so much talking we can do before the game itself comes
there's
down.
Plenty more we can do.
Sure.
It's what we're here for. But yeah, with all that, we are in this weird time in the life of Collegiate League Legends where so many of these teams are starting to build up their rosters. And this is actually where we see the most importance on the JV League. So many of these top-level stars that have been with us since the very beginning of the league, they're going to be graduating out soon. So it's all about this underclass. It's about these upcoming first, second, even third years that want to keep developing down the road. And if they can make some big showings here, they definitely can put the case out for why they should be developed as the next level talent. And we constantly see all this collegiate talent moving up on towards the LCS even. I know FlyQuest, they started, it was I forgot what his full name was, but it was the Toronto support, just got pulled up for a professional match, played with FlyQuest in their first win. Huh?
Is Jeesh the Toronto support, or was that the mid laner?
I think that's the mid laner.
Okay. Flip-flop on that. But yeah, no, plenty of supports. I mean, last year we had Robert Morris University Shady, went on to play for Phoenix One for a little bit there. Adrian Ma, another one out of RMU. Biofrost himself, a collegiate pickup way back in yon days. So definitely a lot of grooming starting at the collegiate level for the pro scene as follows in traditional sports, and that's really what we want to see this scene develop into.
Most certainly. And it all has to start somewhere. We're going to get loaded into game number 1. To remind you guys, this is going to be a best of 3, so curious to see how these picks do start going. And a little bit more housekeeping. This is also on that 8.3 patch, so quite a few things going nutty. Swain is available to play. Don't cross your fingers on him coming out. I don't think he's that strong just yet, but they're already going to get underway.
Yeah, excited to see how this one pans out. So Zoe taken off the table first thing. No big surprises there. Not going to let Last Mage get that one. Just such a strong pick right now that I feel like at this level, unless the teams have had time to do a lot of extensive research, we're likely just going to be seeing a little bit more flavor of the month bans than anything particularly nuanced. Always shows out really well when a team has done their homework and done the research necessary to find, hey, these are the bands that are important for these guys. Sometimes some of the teams we'll be following will crop up on stream. That's, better than gold for some of these teams to really have that information. But I think for the most case, these guys are going in blind. They know their records. They know who they played against. So maybe to see that, KSU is looking at that McMaster loss thinking, oh no, but we were able to beat Florida State, who Drexel couldn't. But besides that, I would not be surprised just to see pretty general bans throughout.
Yeah, most certainly. And so far, none of those bans are actually being thrown at the jungle pool at the moment. And that is one of the more restrictive pools, I'd have to say, in overall competitive league. Mid lane, you got quite a few more picks, been coming out as of late. But the jungle, you still have the J4 Sejuani, kind of that top tier roster. So I'm curious to see, maybe Drexel's going to go with the ban here, maybe the J4 Sej, and say, all right, either you give us a pretty good mid lane in response, or we pick up our choice of jungler. But no, they are going to stick right along with the very much, I'm going to assume a focus bans here against Last Mage 8 is, I don't really think Ari is too top of the meta at the moment.
Absolutely not. And so at this point, comfort picks are always going to be great takeaways, especially if you can get, one of the higher level players on the back foot a little bit out of these organizations where we do tend to see a little bit more of a skill disparity between, the best player on the team and perhaps the weakest link. Offsetting, the right target really can just make or break the difference compositionally. So they're going to prioritize a lot of AD pressure here. Varus and Tristana were off the table. That means Callista, free first pickup for Pathsend.
And that's not something we've been seeing too much here in the Collegiate Star League. I mean, sure, Callista has been maintaining that top-esque position a little bit below the Varus, a little bit before Kog'Maw got absolutely gutted, it looked like, on the last patch. I didn't even think it was that bad, but he dropped to like 47% win rate. It was terrifying to watch. But that does mean Valentine's Day is around the corner. The lovers of bot lane will be headed over to the side of Kennesaw.
Absolutely. They're going to pick that one up. And it's a strong takeaway off the back. Zion Rakan, they were so strong when they first released. They fell out of favor a little bit in the professional scene, just as things were, moving and shaking around. But as a duo, they're still highly contested, very strong. And we see a lot of bot lane priority. Both teams saying that's exactly what they want to play around, as the Tom Kench is locked in for Daddy Dazzle of Drexel.
Yeah, most certainly that one will be going on over. A few more picks coming out as finally we do see one of those junglers locked in, and this probably means Kennesaw is going to have to respond with something here out of the jungle, whether it be the Zac, whether it be the Sejuani, or they're going to be risking falling down quite a bit of priority here, unless there's a top laner in particular, maybe the Gnar, that they want to play around on the other side of the map and maybe give Lionheart a bit of a backseat for this one.
I feel like jungle is the necessary pick here, but they do go with the Shen instead. Ooh. So I doubt that's going to be in the jungle for Lionheart, although you never know. They do pick out some strange things here and there. But going jungle priority right now, I think necessarily because if you leave those two bans on the table for Drexel, they can constrict the jungle pool so hard. There aren't as many viable junglers that can keep up with the likes of a Jarvan right now in the current meta. Will be interesting to see how 8.3 really impacts that across the board on a competitive level. But for now, I think that if Drexel wanted to, they could really tighten the screws on this jungle pool and cause some trouble.
They're going to start. Yeah, I mean, we have seen some teams be able to control the J4 early aggression, but those are also the teams that are Columbia College.
Right.
Great, fairly frankly put, they did a great job of controlling Lord's early game aggression coming out there from our weekend games. Don't exactly expect to see that high level of macro here in these JV leagues, but I'm still expecting some pretty interesting stuff to come out. And with their almost neglect of the jungle position with these first three picks, where are they going to go to? You got to be wondering what's Lionheart going to be popping out there. And also on the other side, I'm not really sure you want to go with the Shen as your first rotation pick. Sure, he's strong, unless you're at this point for Kennesaw State. You're saying, all right, we're going to gank bot lane. We got a Rakan, we got a Zaya. We're just going to nail that lane home until it just falls over.
Yeah, so they do go with the Azir ban lastly to just take that one away. Don't want last mage to be picking that one up. So that's 3 out of his pool. And we talked about a jungle focus, but the mid lane focus is definitely a story that's making itself known as well. I got to agree with you on the Shen. I think it's best left as a counter pick, and not even a counter pick in lane, but just situationally. And with the Zaya and Rakan, it doesn't strike me as something huge for their composition. They will lock down the Zac, leaving mid lane the last pick. That means there are going to be 4 mid laners out of the pool for last mage. So he's definitely prioritizing that last pick over anything potential that might come out of meta shift here, because he's going to have his first choice of this.
And that will be the Zac locked in on the other side. Poppy headed up towards the top lane. Have not seen that one in quite a while, but if you're just looking for tanks that are going to be able to make it through the laning phase with a Shen, it's going to get the job done. And especially with something like the Zac on the other side, you want a little bit more defensive protection against some of those engages, because you got the TK. He's not going to do too much, but oh lordy, we got some team fights brewing.
This is a brutal composition being drafted out of
Both
Drexel
of these
right
sides
now.
are.
They're going to go so hard just on the sheer health bars alone. How long is it going to take down a Galio, a Poppy, a Jarvan if he gets any beef in the build, and then a Tom Kench to round it all out, all while Kalista wreaks havoc on your face? They do have the Shen and the Zac to get to the back line, and that's going to become the strategy, is get to this Kalista. The Orianna going to help out with some damage. So very, very classic by-the-book League of Legends composition coming out of Kennesaw State here. Really, really interesting from Drexel.
No, by both teams, it's literally the exact same idea. You can basically swap out any single member with Drexel with their direct counterpart from Kennesaw, and you have the same composition. And that was my big thing when the Galio got locked in here. I was like, wait, that pick would have worked for either team. I mean, if you put it over with Drexel, yeah, you have the combo with a J4 Poppy, maybe not as strong going on in there, but you still have, once again, J4 Galio, where if someone's blown their flash, they are never leaving ever. And then over on the other side, if that Galio went over to them, you still have a Zac diving, you have a Shen diving in, and you have a Rakan diving in as well. This is just going to be some good fashion, just beat 'em up League of Legends, where the first team to find that first successful team fight, I think, just comes out, maybe not with the game, but with a huge lead.
Yeah, I think so. I really actually do like to see that level of bloody knuckles being played in League of Legends, just because the laning phase, it's important, but the grouping phase, and right around that 15-minute mark, is where we can really see a team take control. So I wouldn't expect the longest of games. These are not, heavy-duty scaling compositions. Sure, they're going to scale fine, probably pretty evenly in the context of one another, actually, just looking at it top to bottom. Mm-hmm. But the maybe slight edge towards Drexel here if I had to pick one. But either way, it's going to be, I think, a game where every single minute throughout the laning phase, and especially just on the first edges of that roam phase, is going to be so critical. And that's always fun to see, because when these teams back themselves into the corners with that kind of composition, it means there's such a pressure to perform that they rarely let down.
Most certainly. And honestly, if I have to look at these two teams and almost kind of award who I think wins this draft phase, I do have to push it over towards Kennesaw. I think Drexel, their main disadvantage in this competition being that their only true damage threat is this Kalista down on the bottom lane. Sure, Galio's going to be able to pump out a little bit in these team fights, but not enough to deal with the Zac, not enough to deal with the Shen. And then I also want to see what Chiching does with his build. Is J4 we've seen as a very mobile champion. You can go with the aggressive build grab. Well, no matter what, you usually go electrocute, unless you're taking the, I believe it was like last week we saw a press the attack coming all the way out there, but just overall, they don't have that much damage. If J4 goes for some damage on the engage, they got a little something there, but everything relies around path send, and you don't necessarily have that winning lane taking the TK as your support, whereas on the other side, you have an Orianna who can pop off, and you have a Zaya that can pop off. It's just doubling your chances for somebody getting a lead in this early match.
I think so. I think that's a very good point. The all eggs in one basket going to be a little bit of a problem. It does come down to execution, though. I think Kennesaw State have drafted themselves the right tools. You can get a Shen on the back line. You can get a Zac on the back line. And, with the Zaya Rakan, there's enough mobility around there to make the snap play if need be. So this, to me, really says that they have to do a good job on the side of Drexel just protecting that AD carry. They have the roles well-defined. If they have it's always Poppy engaging where Galio sticks around for the peel, Jarvan and Tom Kench, play flex a little bit. If they have a plan going into that, it does what the variables are of that plan. But as long as they know and they stick to it, the options are pretty good there. But yeah, it does just leave a lot on Pathsend's shoulders.
Without a doubt. And the big thing also is the first idea for Drexel, if they want to actually break out of this laning phase and start some team fights, they have a J4. I mean, they have a J4 plus Gali. You can make plays literally wherever there is not a flash. But then there's just the Shen with also the full map pressure, and we're almost in like a pseudo double TP composition days back in like early season 6, where you'd like place in too aggressive of a ward bot lane, and all of a sudden 10 people are bot side. There is no reason that could not happen here at the 6 mark.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. So we're going to see how this game plays out. But we do have a little bit of information about the CSL just to drop on you guys before we do get into it. Just a couple quick tidbits if you are curious about who we are, how we operate. One of the great ways to stay in touch with what we're doing and maybe get your school a little bit more involved is our Discord. You can type !Discord into the Twitch chat to get a little bit more information on that. Go follow us on social media, twitter.com/CStarLeague. Twitter.com/CSLLOL, Facebook.com/CStarLeague, and stay plugged in with everything we're doing there. I want to give a shout out to Twitch. Thank them for their continued support of our esports ventures. Wouldn't be where we are without them today. Be on the lookout for cool things to get involved with them. Twitter.com/Twitch, Facebook.com/Twitch. If you can't catch all of our stuff live, head on over to our YouTube, youtube.com/user/CStarLeague, just to stay abreast with everything that is going on in the Collegiate League of Legends scene. But with that, we actually are into game.
I want to see how these initial lanes do pan out. We've been seeing a huge resurgence in a lot of these players going back over towards the mini demon healers to help them out with the lane, and it does look like Meta Shift will be at least embracing that Meta Shift, making sure he's going to have some amount of pushing pressure against the Orianna, because that's also a potential another mismatch. And if Meta Shift ever wants to go make a play, if he's ever unsuccessful, Last Mage on the Orianna is going to have such an easy time shoving in that lane.
Yeah, no, certainly. So the Dematerializer definitely throwing down the gauntlet in a little bit of the sense there. We're going to be excited to see how that one pans out. Pretty safe start, I would think, coming from everybody. Cha-Ching likely spotted out here. I believe the members of Kennesaw State did see that one happen. Lionheart should be far enough up in the brush. Means that I don't see much action happening before the laning phase, and we're just going to get down to that standard laning phase. Tell you, Poppy versus Shen, I feel like we're a couple seasons back here.
Yeah, most certainly. Unfortunately, for the memories that some of these champions have been moved around a little bit, God, I still have nightmares, like looking back to when I personally played in the CSL, we lost to a Poppy in the playoffs. Like old school Poppy where you throw your ult on the support and just destroy everyone else.
Yeah,
but yeah, boy, how the times have changed.
Yeah, no, I think Poppy definitely in a healthier place than she was back then. Cheeky little bit of play from Kennesaw State here, sneaking in Havoc just to lay down the ward. They will know now, very likely, that Cha-Ching is going to be starting on that red side. We'll see if they choose to use that information in any way that's all pertinent. Looks like a little bit later they will have the same information swapped over by Reaper, so pretty interesting trade that they both got away with it. I don't think either saw it happen.
Yeah, and this definitely will be benefiting more on the side for Kennesaw, because the bigger thing is tracking the Jarvan's level 2. He can go basically anywhere with that, and sure, they don't have the vision on him just yet as he's going for the red buff to wolf to blue rotation, but if you get hit with a level 2 J4 gank, you go down a kill, that could just turn into a unwinnable lane at that point. Oh, but already a lot of aggression coming out bot side.
Yeah, I like the trade potential coming out. Zyra Khan going to be happy to trade just about all day. Keep Daddy Dazzle and Pathsend just a little bit lower on there, so Lights and DKC want to get the damage down. They are the ones getting pushed in right now, too, so the CS should be building up for Pathsend if he can deny as much as possible to the tower here, and might leave him a little bit vulnerable to the Zac gank, but, you know, with that ward in the top side, they know exactly how safe they are. So, pretty good pushing potential. Just going to get up now. Yeah, already 12-5, so a little bit more of a dramatic gap than we usually see building at this level of play.
We do a little bit of tussling around the middle lane. Cha-Ching, he's got the early damage. He might be looking for a bit of an early engage or invade his Lionheart. He's going to walk on him, taking his Raptors, it looks like. Nothing much going to come out of that.
Yeah, no, they're posturing around each other, definitely keeping it on one another's toes. In the top lane, really where the fight's going down is Havoc trying to take it to Reaper right this second. Doing a good job on that Shen, and knows, again, just because both junglers are in one another's face, these laners understand exactly how safe they are. Lionheart, though, not safe at all, in a little bit of trouble. Has to get under his tower. The flag won't find him. Had the passive too to boot, but that's really going to offset his jungle pathing now.
Yeah, most certainly, and Cha-Ching taking a pretty big advantage off that, and that's what I want to see hold up throughout these early levels before Lionheart is really going to be able to have an impact on this match. Cha-Ching has basically full reign. Here comes a gank.
Ooh, the taunt through, though. Really nicely played by Havoc, just to push him right back down where he came from. And good mechanical play, but, you know, didn't see that one coming, and that could have been disastrous if that taunt was down from Havoc. Lucky he had it.
Most certainly. Does have to be just a little bit safer that in the future, because when you lose the Lionheart out of the jungle, you lose a lot of ability to stay defensive in these ganks, and with no stopwatches either in his pocket or up at all, as we are still before that 6-minute mark. You do have to keep in control of that one, and honestly, the Poppy into Shen matchup is, once again, something we haven't seen in such a long time, but it most certainly is very Poppy-sided. She's tanky enough to deal with anything that harass Havoc is willing to poke out, and whenever Havoc gets in range for one of those taunts, you're just able to deny it away. And that's really just going to lead to this pushing top lane and potentially even more room for Cha-Ching to play through this jungle. He knows that if he's going towards this top side, towards the red side's red buff, he's going to have backup whenever he needs it. So Lionheart's going to have to really find wherever he can play through his side.
I feel like these junglers need to be levying a little bit more attention to particularly this bottom lane, and I get that for each side it's not the easiest lane to gank. Kalista and Tahm Kench certainly comes with its own set of issues trying to gank into that, same as the Lovers duo for, you know, Xayah and Rakan, but it's likely going to have a little bit more luck than they find in the mid lane, although Lionheart right now, you know, may have gotten himself in a little bit of trouble, still has cell division, and it looks like Cha-Ching doesn't want to force that just yet, but I'm surprised that they're not levying a little bit more focus to the bottom lane, maybe even just to the mid lane just yet. I know, obviously, for Lionheart, he's behind because of that early back. He's going to want to find the time just to get back into things. But for Cha-Ching, I'd expect a little bit more aggression, especially the aggression we're seeing in the bot lane. Daddy Dazzle and Pathsen picking a fight that they may have thought better about. Lane as well going pretty well in the top lane. Reaper's going to get flash taunted, and that'll be first blood for Havoc.
That is just a complete overstay for absolutely no reason. The first thought might have been, oh, I didn't want it back. I had the TP. I want to use that on a TP play in the bottom lane. But you're up against a Shen. You're never going to have the TP advantage versus that man. And going back to your point a little bit about Cha-Ching particularly focusing on the bottom side of the map, he doesn't need to at the moment. He is perfectly satisfied with the way that Pathsen and Daddy Dazzle are already winning this bottom lane. And you don't need to smash a lane to have a good Kalista, you just need it to go even. So the amount of aggression he's able to have, the amount he's able to track Lionheart throughout this jungle, as long as he's providing a safe environment for Daddy Dazzle and Pathsen to still operate on this bottom part of the map, they are still very much playing to their win condition.
It's a fair point. The CS disparity growing by about 20 is not what Lights and DKC wanted to start this lane out with from the Kennesaw State side of things, so gonna stick around and try to equalize that, but they do have to time this one out pretty carefully. Now I think there's a lot of burden onto Havoc to help them reset this lane, doing well enough in his own. A little bit hard to manage, especially as actually Reaper did not use the teleport getting back to that lane, was just content to slow run it right back out. So you said there's never teleport advantage against a Shen, but Reaper doing everything that he can to just hold on to what he does have here.
Most certainly, and definitely you can expect some sort of play coming out on the other part of the map. Is usually, once again, when you have a Shen, you're trying to spread that around to the other lanes just because of the shield and because of just the dive ability you enable with that. But Cha-Ching is doing still a great job of just denying out absolutely everything. Level 6 is on key members.
Yeah, no, and he doesn't know that there are 3 around just yet. DKC's coming in, but look at that Galio coming down, is going to throw down the gauntlet. Cha-Ching's health bar, a little worse for wear for it. Actually, looks like the damage is favoring Kennesaw State right this second. Daddy Dazzle having to flash out of that one, but with his shield gone now, it's going to rely on meta shift to keep him safe. Does so with the taunt for a few seconds here, but Lionheart's back in. They're chasing him pretty far into the jungle, but with the flash and the shockwave, they're getting in. DKC finds Daddy Dazzle. That one is gone down, and meta shift should be out to his tower here okay, but it looks like Last Mage might just want to find the damage. The taunt under tower could be crucial, but things are getting a little tense as now with the mid lane of Kennesaw State sticking around trying to proxy this wave. I don't think that's the best of decisions because now possibly all alone in this. We'll see if the members come back to defend him. Yeah, I think they got us out here. But getting a little confident, very self-assured in that play, and it did net him a kill. Daddy Dazzle does go down, and that one is found actually by DKC, the support of Kennesaw State, so not the most ideal situation, but going to be vital all the same in resetting this bot lane.
I mean, the goal to get over from the kill is the lesser part of that fight. The fact that Drexel, who arguably should have the advantage going into these first few team fights with the way they're playing the lane and the champions themselves, they blow so much there for absolutely nothing. Metashift ults onto a Jarvan who's unable to Cataclysm, and they get nothing out of it. They lose a kill as a response, and that's going to hurt them so much when they're finally ready to make that first play, and buys the side for Kennesaw that extra bit of time. And like right when you saw that Galli ult went down, there was basically just blood in the water. They could smell it from a mile away, and the entirety of the Kennesaw squad just like go in, go in, go in.
Yeah, they were definitely ready for that play, especially good considering it was reactive. It was based off of the push that the Drexel Dragons wanted to make. So the Owls, wise, true to their spirit animal this time around, and saw through it, turned the play on its head, and net themselves a nice kill. Gonna be content with that one. I'm a little disappointed in the lack of wards around these fighting zones that they're leaving here. I think Drexel definitely is in a better position with this counter jungling, and you can see that just with the amount of pressure they're putting on, with the amount of pressure that Cha-Ching is putting on the Kennesaw jungle, this feels a little bit like it may have been more of a fluke coming from that end, just the way he's able to pressure this really well. But I like what Kennesaw is doing, just getting in his face now with Havoc, who has the advantage and can afford to leave that lane for a second. Not ideal for last image, or last mage actually, as he does get caught in that Cataclysm, has to flash out, and now they're using the Stand United just to get back to him. Gonna try to get in onto Reaper, and the Shockwave does a good job. Charmed up means Havoc finds that kill, and Reaper goes down. That's 2 for the Shen. We'll see if Metashift can salvage this one with a kill, but with Lionheart and DKC there, this is not the best for him, because as he is exhausted, they may be trying to dive this one. I think they think better of it. DKC does taper it on out. And Kennesaw with the team play are doing what they need to keep finding these kills. It's one at a time and then some health bars that get close. But it is a war of attrition, and they are doing well with it.
This is really proactive play coming out from Kennesaw. They know that Metashift does not have its ultimate. You saw Cha-Ching throw it on a Cataclysm, but there just was nothing else to back that up, and that enabled the squad for Kennesaw to move into that jungle. And what this is going to do is this is going to delay big spikes coming out from Cha-Ching, from Metashift, as they're just not going to be ready for these upcoming team fights. But every play has its cost, and no good deed can go unpunished. Here comes the game.
Here he comes. He wants to find it. Keep in mind, Cataclysm still down from last time around, so can't trap him. And actually, his own health bar goes a little low. They did call in the teleport from Havoc, but we'll see if they even need it. He is going to flash. He is going to taunt, but look at Tom Kench right there to pick up Path Send and get him on the better side of his tank line. With Galio coming in, I think Kennesaw wants out. The problem is, does Drexel want in? Will this one disengage? I think so.
But once again, they use the Galio ultimate. They use the Cataclysm for absolutely nothing in response. And that is just the core issue that Drexel is finding right now. They drafted themselves the God composition for making plays whenever they want. But so far, the Cataclysm ultimate has never been used with the Galio ultimate. And that's not the biggest thing before 11 minutes. But when there have already been 2 major team fights in this game after the level 6 mark, you're not really buying yourself any room to make a proactive play.
No, certainly not. So the situation is getting a little bit more dire for the Drexel Dragons here as we're getting around the 12-minute mark. Still no big neutral objectives, or even, whatever the opposite of neutral is. Hostile objectives, I would say.
No towers.
In the form of towers, right. That's what we're really driving at here. Dragon and Rift Herald both been on the map for a good amount of time now. Towers as well actually favoring Drexel as they are just hammering away at this bot lane tower. Probably going to get it here. And that first turret gold advantage is actually likely going to get them back in the running here. Even up the gold a little bit, and that's actually crucial as they're trying to put all their eggs right now in this Callista basket. They've stretched it to a 30 CS lead. Now with the first tower gold, they're going to feel good about that.
Exactly, and that is the one saving grace for the Drexel comp so far. The Callista has actually been benefiting from some of these rush plays. It's taken Lights out of the lane and got him a pretty good CS advantage. Just looking at that right now, about the 4.5 to 3.7, not the biggest lead in the world, but you're also talking about two ADCs who have very similar spikes. Kalista spikes really early on into the game. Usually want to get like a Blade of the Rune King, followed up by Renat's Hurricane, just to be able to throw out the spears basically to everyone she meets in a fight. Whereas Light also has that 2-item crit spike that keeps her very relevant early on into this game. And basically we need to see Passon help break the Drexel squad out of this kind of rut they've been putting themselves into before Lights comes online and Last Mage is ready to fight, because I'd say about that 25-minute mark when 2 items are being completed onto every single champion for the side of Kennesaw, they are going to be unstoppable. They've got the damage advantage, they have the teamfight advantage, and unless there's some pretty funky plays coming in here from Drexel, they just have the straight-up advantage.
I think so, especially, oh, hang on, we'll get to that in a second. Cha-Ching, they use a lot to kill him, but they find him fast. The Shockwave going to meet its match, and they will just take that kill away. Going to give some much-needed gold over to Last Mage. He's going to feel pretty good about that one. And to your credit of the point earlier that you were making, that Kennesaw State has everything they're going to need coming up on this one. A kill to the Orianna is going to feel great, but my eyes are still on Havoc in this top lane with 2 kills on that Shen. That's going to be a great advantage when it comes to backlining Pathsend and just killing the main threat that is Drexel. Especially you combine a Stand United onto Lionheart, who's going to be, you know, the main tool for just the mobility of getting to the back line, and you have yourself one deadly combination.
When you talk about the difference up here in the top laners, it does reflect a lot more on this 1v1 pressure. Just look, Havoc's able to establish this control where he didn't have it before, meaning nearly every lane is winning, but here comes a dive.
Yeah, they're coming in 3 men for it. The chain CC is there. The taunt comes down at the right time, and the stopwatch to channel the aggro. This should be a clean takeaway. They're leaving it on Lionheart, but he's going to flash in, going to try to find Reaper. Now Cha-Ching is here. It's only the cell division gone down, not a kill. So I do believe that this will mean Cha-Ching has to get out of this one. The taunt going to buy enough time that Lionheart will be able to turn back into a gelatinous green blob.
Oh, here could be the 2 ultis.
Yeah, they want to come in. That is the flag and drag. Galio coming down. Lionheart trying to get out. The Stand United is there, but the knockouts are following in return, and they're getting everything down in the damage that they want. That is the taunt up for Lights, but it is meta shift. Slaying Lionheart doesn't matter. Trades his own life in return as Lights finds a much-needed kill. Now Cha-Ching killing DKC, but will be traded back in addition. So Lights coming away with a double kill, potentially, you know, a lot of damage on this tower here too. They may just find it all at this next wave, so I think this is worth for Kennesaw State.
I mean, sure, if you want to break it down to its core elements, a 3-for-2 play will usually go over in advantage for the team that does have the 3, but as this time is going, that is not a clean victory, and the first tower actually went down on that play for Drexel. Passon was in that lane versus the Orianna, and nothing mattered anymore because he's 33 CS up on his direct lane opponent, 30 CS up on the guy who tried to stop him when, by the way, he has a support with him, so almost right there, a little bit of a misstep from Keen, so they put so much emphasis on diving that top lane tower that they're doing nothing to address Passon. And once again, if there's one thing Drexel fans can rely on at this moment, it's that Passon is gonna have to have an impact, and right now he's set up quite nicely for it.
Yeah, these are very clear, deliberate paths to victory that both teams should be well aware of at this point. So a little bit lacking perhaps in their actualization. There is a chance on, but there is the Shockwave only finding Daddy Dazzle. Did swallow up Pathsend in time. So DKC wanted it, was a little aggressive on it, but couldn't find it. 2 ultimates down for Kennesaw State there, and this actually may find a window for the mid lane advantage coming out for Drexel.
And they're going to be able to apply a little bit of something, but problem is when the only siege you have is a Kalista, it's not that long of range. I believe it's only the 550, about to be nerfed to 500, and ooh, at that point, goodbye Kalista from the meta. I know that is currently a change out over on PBE, but if it comes over to here, rest in peace, my friend. But this point still stands. For Drexel to actually find tower, they need some big advantage.
There is the Cataclysm off the flag and drag. They want in. DKC's health bar is low, but he's so mobile, he can just find it back out. And with the teleport coming down, that means Lionheart and Havoc are going to be in here ready to find a fight. That's the taunt. They did find Pathsend, but look at Daddy Dazzle there to protect as DKC looks like the first target that may be in trouble here. Havoc as well, surrounded by so many members with a flash out to the DKC. How has no one died yet? Meta shift off to change that, but it's not going to happen.
The 2 men!
The Shockwave does 2 back, and Lights finds the first kill. That is meta shift going down. Can they find more? I don't think so. No! From downtown, just as I'm eating my words, Last Mage with the shot does take out Daddy Dazzle for a huge chunk of health. Didn't think it would do that much damage, but certainly did. And now with Havoc back to the split push, it is Reaper actually in trouble as the side of Kennesaw just calls him on a cheeky back and says, we'll help you get back to base just a little bit faster, mate.
I mean, that theoretically should have been a good fight for Drexel to take. Your ADC is starting to hit those item spikes, but the big thing with that play was there was 1.9k in PathSend's pocket. He hadn't yet completed the Blade of the Ruin King, and he just wasn't ready to fight. And just so many stopwatches, especially just delaying the fight out and out. And then a great re-engage from the Kennesaw squad is going to sweep that fight so hard in their favor. And we were talking about how PathSend had this advantage on the ADC role, had the gold lead, but now that's into a 4-0-2 Xayah. Things have changed.
They're coming on the backline. PathSend right into the thick of things, but going to be in some trouble. Actually going to have to call in Galio just to save things. Havoc trying to stay on this one, but gets taunted up himself. Shen a taste of his own medicine going down. That's a shutdown for PathSend, and that's not stopping there. A double kill means Lionheart will follow suit, and that is absolutely beautiful to give to the Kalista, who already has a 50 CS lead. That's going to mean 2 more kills just in favor as they're trying to get this Kalista online, and I think that's the right way to do it.
And this is why you see Tahm Kench is so readily picked in a lot of these professional tier matches. Over in EU, I believe that Tahm Kench, at least since the last week here, has a 100% pick and ban rate in the support position alone. You can make so many crazy plays while still being a great defensive front end. Daddy Dazzle bringing in PathSend, having Metashift followed up. That is how you benefit on this wombo combo of a composition. They're looking to take the mid lane as well, and they even got top.
Cha-ching just hanging out on the sidelines, threatening the push, means Metashift can bounce this wave off the tower really, really well and get the damage down they need. DKC, though, wants to find the engage. That's a Stand United coming as well. Zach going to get in. Shen gets taunted himself, but the Let's Bounce does bring him back. Cha-ching, very low, going to get taken out, so the tower goes down, but Orianna finds one. Shen finds the next, and Daddy Dazzle not long for this world either, so they find the tower, but they go down 3 in return. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Reaper has been pushing this out the entire time there. Kennesaw State pings on Baron, but can Havoc stop this bleeding in the top lane that we see Reaper? The tower's still in pretty good shape, so I think so. But this Baron now for Kennesaw could change the tide of the game dramatically in their favor.
This is without a doubt going over towards the Kennesaw group, as I really don't think Reaper's going to have the ability to save this one, even with a well-placed hammer. It's only going to knock out the support there, and yeah, I don't think Reaper's long for this world.
Wanted to buy some time for maybe PathSend to get in there as that Kalista, but even so, we talked about the range being a negative there. I don't think they're going to be crazy enough to try that one. Last mage, though, chases down. Reaper does find it there. PathSend wants the steal. Cha-ching is there as well, but no, it is taken away by Kennesaw State. Actually, the AD carry finds that one, and it is the double kill. And they do find possibly a third here. Another double kill coming down, so that's 4, actually. Kennesaw State going to take the Baron, only the support left alive, and now they are just firing on all cylinders, getting ready to shove down this mid lane. 6 kills on the mid lane, or 6 kills on the AD, 4 for the top lane. They got them all right where they want them.
This is the perfect spot to be in right now for the Kennesaw group. They got the Baron. They're going to pick up the first Infernal Dragon of the match, and their ADC and mid laner are so well off. They can pull off these team fights if they just keep these plays rolling. And when you look back on those last 2 fights, honestly, I'd group them together with how everything flowed. Drexel had like 3 different ideas. You had PathSend, who had to run out of the fight there in the mid lane. He didn't want to get locked down by the Orianna ulti, which luckily for them actually missed everybody. On the other side, you had Daddy Dazzle, who was like running down lights, I think, just like under the T2 tower, wasn't able to solidify a kill. And then once again, you had Reaper up in the top lane looking for a tower. And this such diversive gameplay coming up for Drexel is extremely counterintuitive to what they want to do. Their win condition is to get into a fight where they can combo down people with Cha-ching plus Metashift, maybe even throw Reaper on there for that extra oomph at the end, and then let PathSend fight behind that giant front line, because he's got 2 items, he's ready to do it, but they're not setting themselves up for that position. And an Orianna Shockwave is just going to do so much more after 6 kills, 6 assists directly into this man's pocket.
I know it. They've drafted the tools for themselves, but they're not using them on the side of Drexel, at least not to the sense that they need to be to make this composition work. They've tried to make Reaper into a bit of a split push threat throughout, and with that, it may be a little bit too late now. Just this particular champion, this player, 5 deaths, no assists for the team. So really hasn't been the force that they need, and now with Shen, Havoc being online as a split push threat, the remaining members of Kennesaw with this Baron are going to be able to group up, take the top lane, force out a lot of damage on this bot lane tower as well. Metashift trying to be the one to hold that out. We do see a potential flank coming in from Drexel. Cha-Ching on the wings here, but we'll see what he can make of it. Actually, good play by Metashift to keep Shen off the tower. So we'll see if Kennesaw State has any bright ideas for finding an engage. They do have the Stand United, they do have the teleport, so their split push game still very much a real threat, but it seems like they're just trying to buy some time right now.
They have to be careful because one misengage, you still have a Tom catch on that other team. One good consume, keeping someone out there, and you get a response engage. Here comes the ult.
Cha-Ching wants it. It's going to be comboed in. This time it's a little bit prettier, but Cha-Ching doesn't have the health bar. Possibly just couldn't get the items early enough in the game. And this is bad. Look at the shockwave. Does find Drexel back in there, but DKC has gone down. Metashift going to go into this one. Does fall as well as Kennesaw State is just cleaning house. That is the ace. Still the Baron, the triple kill from Oriana. It is Last Mage securing himself the 9-0 before the game goes out. So they lost DKC, but he was happy to be the sacrificial lamb for that fight, as Kennesaw State's going to take this game out and away right here, I believe.
Yeah, and that was just the classic issue of just too little too late. They finally find the fight they needed, but it's 24 minutes past the time it was needed, maybe 15 minutes. And yeah, members are going to come up here. I don't know if it's going to be enough to save the game, though.
No, I don't think so. Cha-Ching's going to be on his butt.
That's the team.
Yeah, they want to fight. It is all of them. The top
this could be it.
Well, they are trying to go in. Lights finds the first kill. Legendary Metashift going to fall as well. So I don't believe there are enough defending members, but look at the attackers. They're dropping as well. Lights has gone down. Lionheart only going to be the cell division, but Pathsend does not look to be slowing down. The shockwave doesn't find him, but Havoc does. And that should be it, because Last Mage is still so healthy here, and the minions where they need to be as well. Lionheart, without the cell division, going to try to make a desperate play, but I don't think he can do it. Havoc, on the other hand, just might. Last Mage so desperate to make this happen, but I don't actually think Kennesaw's going to find it here, ruining the perfect KD just to try to get the last finishing touch.
Oh, that's how he wanted!
Won't find it. No, Reaper is there, but look at that. Lights is here, trying to finish this one out. I'm sorry, not Lights, DKC trying to finish this one. I can't do it. The inhibitor in the mid lane, preventing his escape perhaps, and this is not good for DKC. Kennesaw State still in control of this game, but man alive, they were a little greedy for the end there. And with Lights coming back up, we'll see if he can get DKC out of this one, but Cha-Ching wants it. Will waste the Cataclysm. I think that is wasteful with the defense that you have coming up for yourself. The task at hand wants to find DKC, and he may just get to Lights in time. We'll see, yes! And the exhaust turnaround. Cha-Ching in some trouble here. Does go down. Certainly a waste now in the context of that Cataclysm. That Kennesaw State regrouping.
That man just wanted a kill right there, because nothing this game's been going right for Drexel. They had a winning top lane matchup that was thrown completely away because of the over-aggression in top lane. Reaper could have gone back, picked up that first item, and come back to lane just a little bit healthier, relying on his bot lane to be aware of Havoc's roaming ability, but instead he dies to the first blood, doesn't get any jungler assistance, and then just proceeds to go 0-5 to lose that matchup. And just nothing really is coming to fruition from this squad, and even more shocking at the moment, I think Pathsend is about to finish a Frozen Mallet.
Eesh, that is not good. Reaper sticking around, does get caught up, just trying to get him the cheeky back. We saw it not work one time. Well, here, surprise, surprise, not going to work the second time either. Last Mage, a little bit off the roam from this one, was toward that bottom lane, probably just coming up to meet the rest of his team, so I doubt Kennesaw is going to want to find any engage before their mid laner does follow up here. But it should be all but a formality if they can deal out the damage that they did with this last team fight. That's going to be the elastic slingshot in from Lionheart. Takes a little bit of damage on the chin, just trying to get the Pathsend, but his health bar is low itself. The charm up does find Daddy Dazzle, and he goes down very, very quickly. Reaper trying to get into the thick of things. The Cataclysm is up in time, so Reaper will maybe have some help, but does go down regardless. Lionheart using the Let's Bounce in, just trying to get to Pathsend with the Stand United there. Triple kill coming down. Now, 4 Lights, 1 found by Last Mage as well, and Pathsend, was well protected, but how much does it matter? The Fountain Laser to BM just a little bit, but this is certainly Kennesaw State finishing what they started 2 minutes ago. And in 27-30, they do finish the game 30 kills to 10, 12k gold, and 6 towers in their favor. A commanding victory with just a couple missteps along the way.
Yeah, most certainly, and I'm not really sure what pass send is going on here at the end of the game. I have zero idea why he's building more defensive stats. Because, yeah, he made it through that last fight at the very end of the game fairly healthy, but he didn't do any damage. And, I mean, at that point, it might just be, all right, guys, we're already in the mindset of we're going to go next. I'm just going to grab an item. It doesn't matter anymore.
Sure.
That might be the issue, but that's not how you want to go and try to wrestle a game away from the depth. And, honestly, Drexel, they set themselves up with this composition that just benefits so hard from the duo between Cha-Ching and from Meta Shift, and they just were never able to do anything with it. And by the time they were, their inhibitors were already gone. Their ADC had fallen behind in the lead that he never was behind in CS. He didn't lose that laning phase. He just lost the team fight. So, unfortunate for them. Definitely a lot of room to play around, but improvements need to be made.
Yeah, that is the best of 3 series, especially when teams come in blind. That's the benefit. They get a game to adapt, change up, and really try to bring it back to that 1-1, possibly third game turnaround that Drexel's obviously going to be looking for at this point. The question is, what are the Dragons going to do in their draft to change things up? Because we saw some things that just did not work. They prioritized Cha-Ching on the Jarvan, and he couldn't find the jungle pressure that he needed. They got Reaper, that Poppy, and, lo and behold, 0-5-0 at one point. Died 2-7-2, and really the 2 kills that they found were, I believe, off of the Kennesaw sort of grade play toward the end there. So they're going to have to change up some things in the draft here. We'll see what they come in with, but in the meantime, we're going to kick it over to just a very short break, ladies and gentlemen. Let these players collect their thoughts, get ready for game 2. We'll be back in just a few short minutes, so please don't touch that browser. See you soon.
Yeah.